the student chapter of HPGM? And if so, can you tell us about that experience and what you learned from that?
Yeah. So my freshman year, after my first semester, one of the students in, I believe it was persuasive communications class, she gave a presentation on HPGM. And off the top, when she said Hispanic Professionals of Greater Milwaukee, I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. I've never heard of anything with the word Hispanic in front of it. And then little by little, she gave her presentation. She sent out a page where you could sign up. And I put my name on it, and she emailed me right away. And she asked me to attend the first meeting. And from the first meeting, I felt like we were talking about issues that I thought were important, and we were talking about things that mattered, and we were talking about how to grow within your identity. And from there on, I just got more and more involved with it. My first year, we went to the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute, so USHLI, and it was a culture shock for me. I had not seen that many people who looked like me sitting next to me, sitting in front of me, sitting behind me, talking on stage. I had not seen that many people that looked like me on the tables in the front stage, like the presenters, the important people, the big deals. And that was, I think, very empowering. And it helped me, like, part of my brain just clicked, and it made sense that I could be there too. I could be that successful. And that's something I hadn't seen before. And from there on out, that was right away my freshman year, but all of the meetings, some of the different smaller programs that they do in locally in the city, we've done conexiones, caminos, they've done like the annual meeting, the gala, and all of those opportunities, I just jumped at them because I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to learn more of that. I wanted to be with other people that look like me and feel comfortable speaking Spanish in a professional space. I think it was one of the few chances I got in my career to feel like I could talk Spanish in a professional space and it would be embraced. When I was growing up, it was definitely a weakness to speak two languages, to be bilingual, and to have English be my second language. But when I was in some of these meetings or in the annual meeting in the gala with so many professionals there, with so many fancy people, and they were speaking Spanish. And they were speaking Spanish to me, and they were responding to my Spanish. And it was definitely very empowering. It allowed me to know that I could be myself, that I was in a safe space in all of these meetings. And a lot of the programs that they did, they tailored it specifically to the student needs. When I was a junior and senior in my sophomore year, I became part of the board. And the HPGM organization invited the different boards from different schools to attend meetings all together. And they basically, all they wanted to know is what we wanted, what programs we wanted to see, what needs we saw within our communities in our schools. And they would jot all that down, and they would try to plan a program for it. If they saw that there were a lot of students who needed help with their resume, that's what they did. If they thought that they needed more people to talk to them about finances, to talk about first generation things that come up, financial aid, FAFSA, all of those things that a lot of first generations don't know how to do, talk about all kinds of things that would empower our community, talk about what it's like being a Hispanic student in a majority Caucasian environment. Talk about what it's like to be in a class where you're the only one that looks like you. And they would do those kind of events for us based on what we told them. And the more that I got into it, the more I saw that they were trying to give us what we needed throughout the entire time that I was there. And I mean, when I would go to their events and their programs. I would find all kinds of people from different places and all kinds of professionals from all kinds of careers. And it just helped to understand that I could be in any of those positions. I could be them in a couple of years. And now that I'm here, that I've graduated, I am them. I'm still getting their emails. I'm still, trying to continue to stay involved. And they're treating me the same way, basically. And I think without them, I don't think I would have graduated the way that I did. And with all of the resources and connections I had.
That's great, Estrella. So it sounds like they gave you a lot of support, not only for your identity, but also professional development and community engagement. So that's amazing. Got one more question for you. How did the scholarship you received from HPN make it possible for you to earn your degree?
Well, without it, I wouldn't have graduated, I don't think, or I would have graduated in a much more difficult mental space. Before I applied, before I got the scholarship, I was working here at Stritch. I was working with my parents. They were cleaning, and sometimes their boss would let me go in and help and put in some extra hours. But I was also doing little jobs here and there, and I was still trying to stay involved. I was still trying to be in clubs and be in organizations and be in HPGM. And I was also still trying to maintain good grades. And that was very exhausting and very tiring. And at some points, it was very impossible to do all of those things at the same time. And I had to continue to work because I needed to pay for tuition. Because of my immigration status, I couldn't really apply to a lot of scholarships. I couldn't really apply to good loans with little interest, and if there were any to apply to. And it was hard to find good jobs that would tailor to my schedule because I was still in clubs and events and things like that. So I ended up working a lot overnight, which was very exhausting because then during the day I'd have all stuff to do, and when I was supposed to be sleeping, I was working even more. And when I applied to the scholarship, they give you all kinds of things for you to fill out. And when I filled out that scholarship, it was the first time that I felt like I was meant to fill that application out. Because all of the scholarship applications I'd filled out in the past made me feel like those scholarships were not for me. Like, there wasn't a box for Mexican. There wasn't a box for first generation. There wasn't a box for, came into this country at 5 years old. There wasn't a box for Spanish speaking. There were boxes for all kinds of things that I've never done, I've never seen. And there were all kinds of questions about things that you were supposed to have done already. And all of the other applications I've ever filled. And this one made me feel like it was meant for me. It asked me about my identity. It asked me about who I was, who I wanted to become, and how being Mexican, in my case, how being Mexican played a role in who I am now and who I want to become. And what does that look like in my life? Whereas before I hadn't even thought about Mexican part of me playing a role in my identity. And it being an important part of my identity. It was something I had to hide. And this application was like, we want to know all about you being Mexican and what it means to all of these different parts of your life. And I was like, well, it's everything, but I've never embraced it. And the application alone was a process of rediscovering myself. And then when I received that call or that email that I had gotten the scholarship, I quit my job right away. And I was like, this is going to give me the time, the space, and the mental well-being to be present and the stuff that I really want to do. This is gonna make me or give me the time I need to be in the spaces I want to be in, because I don't like cleaning. I don't like working overnight shifts, running around here and there. I'd rather be sleeping, or I'd rather be in a club or be in a program or be in class and actually be awake because I didn't stay up all night the night before. And I think it made me really feel wanted as a student who was born in Mexico, as a first generation student, as an immigrant. And it definitely saved me many, many hours of work and many, many hours of sanity. And it made me feel like somebody believed in me. And I had gotten other scholarships from other places as well. But I think that was the first time I got a scholarship that big. And it made me feel like somebody believes in me, somebody wants me to succeed, somebody actually cares about whether or not I graduate on time. And this was sophomore year, after sophomore year. And by that time, there's not a lot of scholarships. There's a lot more for graduating seniors and coming freshmen. And it's like somebody is watching my entire road, my entire 4 years. Because even after they gave me the scholarship, they didn't just like give me a check and send me off. They actually like kept looking back and kept emailing me and contacting me and making sure that I was on a path to graduate, that I had everything else I needed aside from a check to graduate, that I continued to have all of the right programming, all of the right mentors, all of the right people behind me. But I think without HPGM, I don't think that I would have graduated. They played a huge role in everything that I did while I was in college and when I graduated. And even now, a year after having graduated, they're still playing a big role. All of the stuff that they taught me and all of the community involvement I got, it's making me see my job differently. And it's making me want to tailor my job to fit all of the different ideals I learned there. And it's making me want to give the people that I work with those same resources and those same opportunities.
It sounds like you definitely have used the resources that they offer to the fullest. Thank you for sharing your story.